Alaman.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever or whenever you may be. This is the overnight. I'm Dan Foss, and tonight we've got G-Webs with us. How are you doing, G-Webs?
Not bad. Thanks for the link. It's over in the Gilded. Thanks for hosting.
And let me get the banner going. I remembered the banner tonight. There we go. Scrolling at the bottom of the screen is an email and a link. You can send in comments, suggestions, or pictures within reason. There's a couple of ways to do that. And in the description for the stream, there's a link for the Gilded server. It's a place to hang out, chit chat. Can also share pictures, memes, stuff like that. You can always get a hold of me there also. And let's go back to there. So tonight, we'll probably just have a few topics. No, I don't have one big topic for tonight. But first, secondly, I forgot Wednesday. Where did I put it? To show a couple pictures that X Adam 1 sent in of his SIG P365 with the Holosun. So I wanted to show those at the beginning of this chat, make sure that I don't forget again. But I haven't shot the regular 365. I've shot the XL, and I like the XL. Seems a couple of people that do that hang out in this chatting circles that I hang out in that work at gun shops do not like them, and I'm not sure exactly what problems they've had. I haven't heard a lot of problems with them, so I don't know. But that one, and then there's that one in his holster. So pretty cool. I know the XL, when I shot it, for me it was pretty accurate, as accurate as I am. But yeah. So thank you for sending in pictures, X Adam what? close those. Yeah, hang on just a second. How's it going, Pacifist? How you been? Are you there?
Seen a bunch of his videos on the Instagrams.
Are you talking to me?
I was talking to you.
I'm trying to figure out my devices right now, so I think I'm good. Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah,
Thank you for the link, brother.
Oh, no problem. I was a little disappointed that the videos you put out, your new carry gun, your optic did not come off and hit you in the head.
It did come loose.
Oh.
I hate red dots. You know, I mounted it per their instructions with the blue dry Loctite down to 15 inch-pounds, and I got home and it was loose. So I reattached it, and during the course of filming the rest of the video at home, I dropped it on my hardwood floor, and then I looked through it, and it was down to the bottom right of the window.
Oh.
Which should not happen to a carry gun. You should be able to throw that against a brick wall and still maintain zero. So the reason why I bought this gun is because it's a direct mount, so you can still co-witness your regular sights through it, your regular height sights.
Yeah.
So I'll always have those no matter what. But yeah, I hate red dots. I hate them.
The only experience I've had is I rented a gun at the range that had one. So I haven't, other than like on my ARs, but I don't have one on a pistol.
As far as shooting goes, they're great. If you can maintain zero.
X Adam 1 said I have been lucky, I guess. I have had many red dots and no issues or falling red dots. Well, let me take a quick look, see who was out there. The artist formerly known as Baroness VG was out there earlier. Krabby Turtle, Kingpin saying yo, Gunmetal Guy USA, X Adam 1, GTP Productions, G23, Guns and Water, Gizzard Gary, Gun Websites, and I think that's everybody. Oh, Sergeant Joe Smith. Good evening to everybody. Yeah, G23 is reminding me that I shot his wife's P320 compact with the red. Well, I did, but there was a problem with the red dot, so I was just kind of shooting forward. I wouldn't count that really.
So you were point shooting.
That's the way I shoot normally. I will kind of warming up. I'll look at the sights, but when I get into it, I tend just to point shoot. That's kind of the way I always have, even with BB guns as a kid. And it gets me in the large circle. My goal is, to be within that much, because that's on a chest, that's center mass. So if I can be in that much, the width of my hands, that's about 6 inches. I'm all right with that.
I found out today that one of the most important things that a red dot does for you is when you're shooting at a smaller target and you have that red dot right in the center and you miss, it kind of forces you to address the issues as to why you missed. Your trigger pull, your grip, whatever. And so I can give that to the red dot.
Excuse me. X Adam 1 was saying, do you have an HK VP9? I saw VP9L that I'm thinking of getting. I don't. I just have the P30. I don't have a VP9. So for those who may not have heard, Matt Hoover of CRS, is it CRS? Firearms, was convicted on 5 of the 8 charges that the government were bringing towards against him. And we probably won't talk too much on it because there's a lot of channels, a lot of bigger channels that are, are going crazy over this one. But it's a lesson in hubris and bad strategy. I think they're bullshit charges, personally. Both the charges, like with the lightning link, the one that the ATF cut out and then couldn't make work, and then also the conspiracy charges dealing with the money, where they're doing shifty stuff with bank accounts to kind of hide what they're doing with the money, which I think is bullshit. Just, you should be able to do whatever you want with your money, and it doesn't matter if you want to pull out more than 10 grand at one time. That's your business, not the government's business. Just, until they tell you do something illegal, then it's none of their business. It shouldn't be their business where, well, you could be doing something illegal by pulling out your money or carrying your money or stuff like that. But there's been a lot of criticism against Matt for poking the bear, which, if you want to do that, that's fine. If you want to push the issue, that's up to you. But he was not prepared for the consequences of poking the bear. And that's where the hubris comes in, where I think he was cocky enough where he thought he was smarter than the government, who has unlimited funds and time. And so he did not have all his ducks in a row when they arrested him. And if you want to do something, whether it's, if you want to do something to make a point where, the lightning, it's just a drawing. They can't, to prove your point, be prepared ahead of time for what might happen afterwards. And Matt wasn't. And so he's in the position he is now. And I think he's supposed to be get the sentencing in July, something like that. So I don't know. Do either of you have an opinion?
I'm not watching enough to have any kind of opinion, other than it's annoying that there's an NFA in the first place.
Yeah, I agree.
I think they can, they have their fingers on the scale and they can tilt it whatever way they want to. He put himself out there, and I can't say that for many people, including myself. I've never put myself out there to that extent.
Did he do it with, it's in all of our experiences. This happened like a couple of years ago or something. I don't think anything about that was like, I'm willing to go to jail. It was just like, here's a thing. Or was it like, here it is. And even though it's essentially a machine gun, what are you going to do to me? Like, there was none of that. It was just like, hey, here's a thing to show how stupid the NFA is. That, like, if you were to cut this out, it would be, it's like a sarcastic kind of, frustrated effort, right? It wasn't like, hey, everybody, all you got to do is buy this off of me and cut it out and fold it, and then there's no more laws.
Yeah,
it was,
right.
It was,
yeah, that's how I took it too. Is that he was like, it was kind of like a parody.
Playing, yeah, like it's almost like a comedian, and them like that one comedian who took the president's head and chopped it off and put up blood all over it, and then if they would have taken that person and said, you're trying to instigate some kind of violence, like that seems like the kind of I don't think that person, what is his name, Matt? I don't think he was, like trying to, what do you call that? Poke the bear. I think he was just doing something he thought was funny, and then all of a sudden it escalated.
I don't think he was trying to be provocative, but he definitely he was putting himself out there.
I would say I do think he was trying to be a little provocative. In light
I
of
wasn't watching it for sure, so I don't know.
in light of other videos that he's made, like with the solvent traps and talking about baiting the ATF with solvent traps, having them shipped to his house and to bait the ATF to trap them. So I think he may have been trying to be a little provocative. And yeah, the comedian
may
was
have been,
Kathy
but
Griffin.
He lost everything because of this.
Yeah. And that's like what I said, the strategic failure on his part was he went into it without being prepared for the consequences of what might happen.
But did you see what happened to Kathy Griffin? She was diagnosed with extreme PTSD. I feel so bad for her.
Well, yeah. After she got criticized, then she played the victim, and yeah, blah blah blah.
But at least she has some dogs that she can escape her PTSD with, and feed them and everything.
I don't pay attention to her. I used to think she was kind of funny in the late 90s, 2000s ish.
I never liked her on news radio.
And then I kind of stopped watching her. Yeah.
Anybody whose whole thing is just being upset is now just defaulting to not liking whatever's the thing of the day. That's not edgy or trying to, it's not like paying attention or something. She just turned into against whatever the thing of the day was.
Yeah,
she
was all about the current thing.
Well, that was her all her jokes were about, celebrities and, the kind of current celebrities and stuff like that. So, the bit worked for a while, and then when it stopped working, she got desperate and then started doing stuff that,
Yeah, now seems like she's really desperate.
Yeah.
So going back to the CRS thing, after he was arrested for the first time, I think even before he was arrested for the first time, he started making videos about being arrested and giving pretty much a minute by minute detail of before he was arrested and after he was arrested. And when he was facing charges, he still did those videos.
Well, he stopped making gun related. His lawyers told him stop making these videos, and he stopped for a while, but nobody was watching his videos anymore. So he went back to making the gun content and stuff.
The latest videos I saw that he was making was pretty much poking the bear after the fact.
Yeah.
He was pretty much laughing in the federal government's face, saying, these are the statistics. There's no way I'm going to be convicted type videos.
Yeah.
So is there anything that we can learn from this? Maybe not to do that in the future?
Well, if kind of like I was saying, if you want to do that, that is your
prerogative.
Your God, I got goal stuck in my head, but it's not goal.
Intention.
Yeah. That's the banner you want to take up is, strike down the NFA. I'm going to, this does give him precedence to,
if that's the hill you want to climb, then.
Yeah. But you have to be prepared because, when he got arrested, he was like shocked that he got arrested. Well, no, you
Yeah,
were
exactly.
doing things to get yourself arrested, and so he should have had his lawyers lined up ahead of time, had a plan for what's going on, because he gets arrested and then he's scrambling because he's got a wife and daughter, or girlfriend and daughter. He got married sometime within there, but and then they're left high and dry. So, if you're gonna do stuff like this, if you want to martyr yourself, just understand the consequences and be prepared for the consequences.
Well, I think that he was, in his mind and many people's minds, he was prepared to face these charges because what he was doing was not against the law.
I agree that it wasn't, but I do not agree that he was prepared.
Like when you
Otherwise-
face down
Well,
the
he
federal
was pre-
government, they move the goalposts. So there's no way that you can be prepared or know exactly what they're going to do because they can move the goalposts in any direction they want to and jam you up.
Yeah, he was prepared for what he anticipated, but not prepared for what resulted, right?
Well, I think that's where his ego got in the way of where he thought he couldn't be touched. Well, and I've never talked to him personally. I don't know. I am just making generalized statements towards the issue. But the fact that I don't know how to state it where it makes sense. Like if I was going to do something like that, I would make sure that there was money set somehow for my wife and kids. So if I disappear, they're okay, but you have to figure out how to do that where it's not tied in with everything. Because that was part of the problem too, is he was moving the money around, making money off this. If without that, I think he has a stronger case moving through the courts, for appeal and stuff like that. Because he could even get the conviction for the Lightning Link stuff overturned, possibly in the court. If they fight against the NFA in the courts, but the charges dealing with the money, he wouldn't get overturned.
Now, the company that he was displaying those lightning cards for, they were under scrutiny from the federal government before he was arrested, correct?
Yeah, the version 1 was basically cut out with a few tabs, and they told them to stop it. And so version 2 was the one that they got in trouble for this time, where it was just kind of etched on the surface.
I don't criticize him at all for what he did, but going up against the federal government is kind of it's I don't even want to use the word. I feel like there's not the word naive is too strong, but they can do whatever they want to you, no matter what the laws and the rules are.
Yeah. One thing to also keep in mind is it was a jury trial. So he wasn't convicted by the government.
What state was that in? The jury trial?
Florida. So he was technically convicted by a jury of his peers in Florida, even though he wasn't from Florida. Yeah. So I agree. I don't have a problem with what he did. Just, maybe the way he did it. But like I said, there's a lot of bigger channels, the more knowledgeable channels that are kind of covering this. So I thought we'd touch on it, but I didn't want to spend the whole chat doing it.
I just have to say that he put himself out there.
Yeah.
I really don't know what else I could say about it, but obviously I don't know all the facts of the case. I followed it somewhat through his channel, but he put himself out there.
So hopefully, since, like I said, since he was convicted and it can move on into the federal courts and maybe it'll lead to something. We got the gun snob out there and Uncle Jim. So another thing I wanted to address is G-Webs on your Thursday chat. I think it was a Thursday chat. You mentioned Taekwondo and made some disparaging remarks and then apologized to me for making for having that opinion. I just wanted to make the record clear. I did not do Taekwondo. So you can make fun of them all you want.
Okay. I was thinking that I was just talking a lot of smack about martial arts in general, I guess. So
I agreed.
But I know that you do more of the exhibition stuff, or you've done more of the exhibition stuff, and I don't have a problem with it. I'm just saying that my thing is that a lot of that doesn't apply to when somebody's got a knife and wants to kill you. They don't play fair. So there's a lot of that stuff is just, the sports stuff, the exhibition. So I guess I was just.
I agree with you. And what I did wasn't so much the sports stuff. I did exhibitions, but our style wasn't kind of the flashy sports style.
No, I know. I'm not trying to say that either. I was just saying that I was trying to pay respect that. Like, I'm not saying there's no value in any of that.
But
you can, that the boxing. I was just trying to tell that person that, like, I agree. Boxing, like just being able to use your arms when you're kitted up, is important because you don't get to bend and move and stuff. You pretty much just have to smash on them with your arms.
I agreed with most of what you were saying. So G-Webs, somebody had asked about do you remember what they had asked exactly about boxing?
I think they just said something more to the extent like, I do boxing or something. And I was like, yeah, I'm down with boxing. A lot of people give boxing shit because in a ring, boxers are more like just two tough guys that wail on each other. But the dudes that wrestle and stuff can wail on a boxer usually. But again, that's when you don't have knives and people aren't jabbing each other in the jugulars with sticks and stuff.
Yeah, and I think it is good to know some hand-to-hand stuff, just in that there are times where that is useful. That's what you have. So it's good to have understanding, but you want to keep it simple. You want it simple, and you want as few moves as possible, and you want it to end as quickly as possible. The more you add to the technique, the longer you're engaged, the more time there is for something to go wrong. And
that's the way I feel about it too. That's why I like Aikido. I know you don't like Aikido as much as me.
There's good principles in Aikido, and there's a lot of stuff in Aikido that's I wouldn't say problematic, but
I like the kind of Aikido where from my understanding, Aikido was when the armies would fight each other, the dudes with Aikido would get out there and just essentially slaughter as many people as they could at one at a time, or do whatever they could to knock everybody over as they were fighting, and then eventually try to live through the thing, and then the people behind them would knock people, kill them once they were on the ground and stuff. But Aikido is just to get everybody who was heavy with their armor and their swords and stuff knocked over, and then somebody else finishes them off, and then you end the battle, hopefully without your side losing as many as the other side. At least that's what I understood it to be.
I'm not sure about that, but it's Aikido, Judo. They're kind of where you've got like a martial arts that has kind of everything in it, and then the Japanese like to pare things down into individual pieces. They'll do it with food too sometimes, but so like Judo is throws. There's locks and stuff in there, but to make it simple to understand, but there's throws. Aikido has some throws, but it's more about redirecting energy.
Yeah, it's taking that person's triangle and knocking them over. Just figuring out where they're off balance and helping them fall over. And then Judo is taking your body and moving them over, like knocking them over, right? That's why I did. Like you're going to get into their space and move them over or flip them over you or something. Like you're using you to get them over. Where Aikido is more like just wait for them to get off balance and knock them over and let them fall over and hopefully die.
Kind of lost the train of thought, but so those are good to know, because they can come in handy when you get in close and you end up tied. Yeah, and this I'm speaking somewhat from experience. I've never had somebody, as far as I know, trying to kill me when I've been involved in this, but just from fighting with people, and so like with jiu-jitsu, there's a lot of nasty things they can do to you, but you see, if you watch clips of videos and stuff, they're real complex moves, and each time you add a step, that's one more possible failure point. So I don't like to get that involved, and then also if there's a second person.
If you're doing jujitsu and you're tied up with one person and their buddies standing there and watching it, he can kick you in the head and
stab you.
Do much anything he wants to do to you.
I had one situation where I was engaged with a person and threw him down, punched him until he stopped fighting. And then he had two friends that were actually hiding in the bushes. They stepped out, and I didn't know about them until they stepped out. Luckily, they were all a bunch of pansies, and they ran away. But the dude that I had dealt, that I was mixing it up with, for that situation, he did 2 years for robbery out of that situation. And then when he got out, he stabbed somebody, and now he's doing 28 years for murder. So I don't want to be engaged for I'm not going to stand there and slug it out with somebody.
Yeah.
Because you don't, like I said, the longer it takes, the more can happen, the more people can be introduced into it. Somebody comes from behind you don't see. And then another thing to keep in mind is like this came up a couple years ago talking with Ghost, where he's a Marine and he's used to bar fighting and stuff, and he said he's fought lots of times and never worried about pulling a gun or using a weapon, something like that. And my contention is, you don't know when they're going to stop. If you get knocked down, you get knocked out. Is that the end of the fight? Or is the end of the fight when they stop stomping on your head? Or is the end of the fight when they throw a cinder block on your head? You don't know. So, I'm not saying somebody swears at you, you shoot them. I'm just saying, be aware that you're fighting, you're punching each other, but you don't know their intention. You don't know when they're going to quit. hopefully you will have taken care of it before it ever gets that far. Best thing is if you can just avoid, use your words. But I kind of trailed way off of where.
No, you're right.
No, that's pretty much my
You
thoughts, too.
absolutely have to. I had a picture of pig's blood dumped over my head one time at a TGI Fridays in Waikiki. I got into a fight, and one of the kitchen guys, it was his buddy that I was in a fight with. He came out from behind the line and dumped a pitcher of pig's blood over my head while I was in a fight with his buddy. And I just remember the taste on my mouth. I all of a sudden I had like an iron taste in my mouth, and I was drenched with pig's blood.
Did you use your magic powers to kill everybody at the prom after that?
No.
That's what I would have did.
My middle name is not Carrie. But yeah, I was lucky that it was pig's blood and not a knife or a gun or something like that, because his buddy had his back. And you never know who's going to be watching the fight or who's going to introduce themselves to the fight.
That worked though, right? Like just immediately takes all that like heat off of it. Like boom, you're just like, what the hell? You're done.
I was like, what the fuck? And I was in a white t-shirt. I was like, this t-shirt's ruined, you son of a bitch.
X Adam once said, I agree with keeping it simple, just like 3 moves and repeat in a street fight, maybe 2 defense things. Get good at them. It'll be muscle memory. It's not like a 3-round match on the streets.
In the streets, you've always got some kind of a dumpster you can jump off of and then jump up onto like some kind of fire escape up in the air and then jump down behind them. And that way, you've got that move.
Sonny Guns is out there. Good evening. Yeah, I don't, I try not to get in fights and usually can, talk your way out of it. If as long as they're not dead set on doing something stupid. But now I'm old. I just don't go out. So I avoid people. That helps solve that problem.
I think most people, once they realize that they will suffer material loss, money or health or whatever it may be, they kind of grow up, and if you're, intelligent enough, grow up and stop doing those stupid things. But you have to get to that point first where you suffer a material loss.
Yeah. Fortunately, not enough people learn that. Let's see. X Adam said, when I was younger, a guy got into a fight, started winning, then got jumped. He was beat to death, thrown in a dumpster. He always advocated his 2 fists over carrying. Dead tough guy. I will say I used to be like that, where, when I was younger and spry, nimble, I could punch my way out of any situation. I thought, there weren't any 2 people that were going to kick my ass. Now I'm old and everything hurts, so I carry a gun.
I used to be a hot-headed kid in my 20s until I broke my knuckles a couple times. And I was like, this is not fun. No matter how tough you are, you're still gonna experience pain.
What happens when you break knuckles? You got to just deal with it, or you put like a cast on your hand, or what?
Well, if you're lucky enough to just bend your index finger and your middle finger, those are fixed knuckles. But the ring finger and the pinky finger, those flex. And so if you're lucky enough to just bend those, then you can get away with it. But if you hit with such force that you break those, then they have to be reset and casted. They call it a boxer's fracture.
If you look at
and then you have to deal with the tendons on top of that. You have tendons that run over the top of your knuckles. And so an experienced boxer knows how to split the tendons to peel off of the knuckles to make a good strike and not injure himself. But if you don't know that stuff, you're going to get injured.
Oh, really? To make a stronger punch, you make your fist so that your tendons fall off your knuckles?
Yeah,
Well,
you have there's a lot of experience that comes with that.
The old you don't really see it as much, but the kind of the older traditional karate guys, if you look at their knuckles, they'll look like little hammerheads because there's scar tissue on top of the joints, so they can punch anything. You just have to, make sure your wrist is aligned so it's supported.
And you sit around punching wood your whole life, right? And then you can just go around punching anything.
Yeah, that's used like a Makawara board, where it's a board with a canvas on it. You punch that, build up the scar tissue and stuff.
Those guys punch stone, right?
Yeah.
You have those guys in Japan that were known, and they were recruited by the police departments when they were having a hard time with crime. I forget exactly what years that happened, back in the 80s, maybe the early 90s, where they recruited these guys that would toughen their fists so much that they could knock somebody out with one punch. They would recruit those guys to go after the hardened criminals to knock them out in one punch.
Uncle Jim said, sorry, I'm a huge UFC MMA fan, and it proves what works. Aikido is Steven Seagal shit and is a joke. And Krabby Turtles said, pro tip, if the other guy has cauliflower ears, don't fight him. And Uncle Jim said, boxers are one-dimensional. No way they survive full martial arts. There's plus and minuses to any style that you do. Boxing, karate, taekwondo, whatever. Something is, most of the time, something is better than nothing. When I was teaching, there were times where I'd send people to other classes because I could tell that's what would work better for them than what I was doing. And I fully believed in what I was doing, but I could tell it wasn't for them. And there's also limitations to every style, and there's some that are just awful. Where you just know somebody's going to get hurt. But
you can get hurt walking down the stairs in the morning.
Well, I mean, more, they think what they're doing is effective. So if they try and do that to somebody else, they're going to get hurt by the other person. Sonny Gunn said, I have no interest in fighting these days, but loved fighting when I was younger. I'm not a big guy, so people would mess with me, and I embraced it. I am too slow and out of shape to fight these days.
I've never been in a fight where I didn't walk away with a split lip or something that hurt. No matter if I won the fight or lost the fight. And if you get your lip split, good luck eating for the next 7 days.
I haven't been in a lot. Like I said, I really try to avoid it. And have been lucky so far. Been able, to say whatever is necessary to diffuse the situation. Because it can get tough. I've had to deal with some mentally ill people, some pretty crazy people. You just kind of get a feel for, do you need to be direct? Do you need to be friendly? And usually I think part of it is my size helps too, or, they might think twice. I'm not the biggest guy, but large enough where, I haven't had a problem. So, I'm going to put a poll out there. Start poll. I am thinking, well, I got to type. I can't think and type at the same time. Yeah. All right. So I am considering getting my first 1911. But I can't decide on what caliber, 45 or 10 millimeter. 10 millimeter, I love 10 millimeter. But I don't have anything in 45. So I kind of would like the traditional 45.
If it's your first one, you have to get it in 45.
Ever since I was a kid, it's the iconic sidearm for military. And I've not had one just because of the safety. There's a whole bunch of rules that I put on myself, and the way you manipulate a 45 was why I didn't have one, but I kind of want one. So I've been
So
thinking,
is this going to be a range toy or something that you're considering carry?
Well, any handgun I have with I think one exception, the 7.5-inch Blackhawk. The exception. That's one of the rules is any handgun I have to be able to carry. And that's kind of why I didn't have a 45 is because with the safety, cocked and lock and the safety, and that manipulates different than everything else I have. But I really want one. So been thinking about it, been looking at Fusion firearms or a Kimber, maybe Ruger. I want it to be an American made. Fusion I didn't know anything about until I started really looking recently. And the owner of Fusion used to be the president of Dan Wesson. And then when CZ bought Dan Wesson, he opened up Fusion Firearms and does, I think, shotguns too. But They're there. I can call up their page.
So what is the pricing like at Fusion?
Um,
Because you mentioned Ruger.
Whoops.
Is it similar pricing or is it more expensive? 'Cause
similar
Dan
on
Wesson-
their page is a little more than if you look around like Grab a Gun. Because I want to keep it under 1,000, and I really like stainless. I love stainless, but I was thinking about if I get one in black, having it case colored, having the slide case colored.
Yeah, that's really attractive. The like the rosewood color grips with the black case hardened frame and slide. Oh, that's really nice.
I was thinking about
You can get stainless and you can get anything in stainless, but that is really attractive.
so I'm not sure. X Adams said he might get the Bull Armory. Those are nice looking, and I'm thinking about either a GI or a Commander size. I don't want the long slide, and I don't want the.
Well, are you looking
The
to
real
go
short one.
traditional 1911 or modern 1911?
I haven't considered either of that. So
If you go modern, then you're gonna have the beaver tail and certain modifications to it. But if you go more traditional, then you're gonna have the notch instead of the beaver tail. No magwell, no rail. I mean, like 1911s, they appeal to both the traditionalists and the modern shooter. So there's like a wide variety of 1911s and 2011s that you can choose from.
I can't handle the grip angle in a 1911. It's not natural.
And the fact that you haven't given me an answer yet tells me that you haven't done enough research.
Oh, am I not? I'm not studied enough.
You're not learned.
Well, it wouldn't be for a while anyway. So, I don't know. Uncle Jim said Dan Wesson 1911. If you have bucks, Bob Serva of Fusion is a used car salesman. I knew him.
I think Dan Wesson is like the bottom. It's the beginning of a like a really good 1911.
That's kind of
Dan
that's
Wesson.
That's the way I've kind of heard. They're kind of above production models, but the bottom of the custom-ish model.
Still like a really good 1911. And if you go over a Dan Wesson, it's kind of like a waste of money. That's in my opinion, Dan Wesson is a sweet spot.
Guns and Water said Commander Hammer and Beaver Tail are a must for me. Yeah, I've been kind of looking online, looking at different ones, but I don't know. That's why, figured I'd throw it out to the chat, get opinions.
Ruger makes a really good 1911, but their tolerances are kind of loose. So if you shake it, it's going to rattle. If you go with a Dan Wesson, the tolerances are going to be a lot tighter.
Yeah, but it's going to cost more monies.
So if you're buying a convertible because you want a car to drive on the weekends and with family, or take drives with the wife into the scenery and stuff, are you going to be like, well, what's the least expensive thing I can buy? Or are you going to be like, well, I'm doing this, because I've worked my whole life to save up for this thing and I want to go drive around. I want a nice vehicle or whatever. So that's what I'm looking at it. If this is your barbecue gun, then why go for the least expensive economy model of one?
From what I've known of DM Foss over the years, I would say I have 2 words for you, DM Foss. Rock Island Arms. That's 3 words.
Well,
Rock Island Arms.
the problem is I want American.
Oh, they're Filipino, so they're pretty much American anyway. So
Well, yeah,
Philippines is American. That's the same thing.
the machinery they're using, the tooling that they're using to produce these 1911s in the Philippines is American machinery.
These are made with the reason they exist is because we want to have off-country production facilities that are allies. I mean, they're adjacent to U.S. if they're not almost like an off-brand of U.S.
Right. All the tooling was left by the GIs. Like
Yeah.
if you've ever been to the Philippines, have you ever been to the Philippines?
no.
They call you when you're in the Philippines and you're a white dude, they call you Joe. Everybody, like, as soon as they see you, it's confusing at first, but then once somebody tells you what they're doing, then you realize they call you Joe because everybody's considered GI Joe because the military had such a presence back then. All the jeepneys are they're the
Yeah.
public transportation that they used all the U.S. military jeeps and extended them and put beds on them for public transportation. So the first day you're over there, everybody calls you Joe, and you're like, "My name's not fucking Joe."
I had thought I kind of want a Kimber. That's what I thought about first. I was looking at Kimbers.
Kimbers have a lot of MIM parts on the internals, a lot of failures. It's like I've never owned a Kimber, so I can't attest to this personally, but everything I've heard about Kimbers is either you get a really good one or you get a really bad one.
Kind of what I've heard is if there's a problem, it's usually the magazine. So
That's
replacing
easily fixable.
replacing the magazine from people that I've heard will fix the problem. And I've got a friend that I work with. He has a Kimber and he hasn't had a problem with his. I haven't really talked to him too much about it.
Wilson Combat makes really good magazines for 1911, so that's easily fixable if you buy a Kimber, and that's the problem.
Yeah, but it could end up where what I do most of the time is I overthink what I'm looking for, pick out exactly what I want, and then like go to the gun shop and they have something right there and I buy instead.
So 1911s, there's fit is a thing, right? And then all the options as far as like what do you want it to look like and all that. But the materials are also where they save a bunch of money. So they, put garbage materials inside or less expensive materials inside. And now the thing can look nice, but not cost as much because the machines don't get worn out as much cutting through their, not good materials. Or they don't have to do things because it's all cast or something. So there's that. So what about just going backwards? 1911s have existed for a long time. If I was going to get a 1911, I'd get a real 1911 from Colt from back in the day. So what about going backwards and just getting an actual 1911 instead of a version? I mean, assuming you go 45 ACP. And then same thing with like, getting a Garand or something. You're buying history.
So I ended the poll and 75% said 45. 25% said 10 millimeter, which, either answer is acceptable to me. And because I really would like a 45 because I don't have anything in 45. I like to diversify. I have a little bit of everything ish. So I don't know. We'll say I'll look at 45.
Is it even legal to not have a gun in 45 ACP?
I almost did. I almost had a SIG, whatever they're 45. I can't remember what I was looking at. 226, 230, 250. I don't know what it is. But
Well,
that was the whole. But go ahead.
You're saying that you want to buy an American 1911, but
Yeah.
as an American, you don't own a 45 ACP. So isn't that kind of contradictory?
I know. like I said, I almost had a SIG in 45, and it became a whole debacle at Cabela's, and I told them to keep it. And so we have come back now to where I'm considering it again.
What about getting it from somebody? Like, getting one that somebody else has already figured out and they want to change or upgrade or downgrade or something and get it from somebody who already has a good one.
I would recommend that for Colt or Springfield. If you're looking at those two manufacturers, buy it from somebody on the used market. Don't buy it new, because Colt has they're notorious for malfunctions, and Springfield, they're notorious, as many other gun companies are, but not as prevalent, for their backstabbing of the Second Amendment.
Here, let me
Nice. Yeah, it's
full screen myself here. I mean, like that. It's not going to focus in on the bottom.
the part where you're pinching the balls there.
Yeah.
I think every gun company, to a certain extent, has backstabbed us, because they're producers. They want to sell their shit, and they make their back alley fucking deals with the legislators to be able to sell their shit.
Well, it's any organization, whether it's a company, government, division, charity. The goal of an organization is to grow the organization.
Right. And as a human being, if you don't recognize that you're on your own, you're a fucking idiot.
So yeah, there, you might have a company where
You're not on your own with Joe as president.
it's because he won't leave you alone.
Right.
G23 said get a 45 gap Glock.
I shouldn't even. If somebody, I think what happens is if they try to hobble a 1911 into 45 gap, their tools break. It's just like the force of the 1911 breaks the tools. It won't even allow them to.
It's the Americana.
Well, you can get the 460 roll-on conversions.
That's different. That's good. You can get that one.
Gizzard Gary wants to know, where did you dig up that retro logo? Jeep Pacifist.
Hold on, I have to put my glasses on. Oh, that was the account that I have with StreamYard. It was just there, so I clicked on it.
X Adam said, I have bought Turkish guns and don't care. I don't buy Turkish guns, but I don't care if anybody else does or not.
T-Shas or Tissas does make a really good 1911.
Yeah, I don't want to buy Turkish though.
And the Browning clones as well. They do a really good job with. So Gary has a Taurus 1911. Which is a very, very nice 1911. Same thing in Brazil as the Philippines. It's all American tooling down there.
I misread it. I thought he said he had a Brazilian, but something different.
No, actually, I think in Brazil it's Italian tooling. In the Philippines, it's American tooling. In Brazil, it's Italian tooling.
That's what Water said, Narenko. No, thank you.
Night Strike will sell you one.
Yeah, no, thank you.
If you're
Well,
a fan of if you're a
they'll
fan of
tell you.
Ruger, I really recommend Ruger. I had the SR 1911 and 10 millimeter, which was a bushingless design with a bull barrel, but they have the 45 caliber ones with the bushing and the standard barrel. I think that's probably the best bang for your buck that you could get for a 1911 is the Ruger SR 1911. They have the Bomar adjustable sights on them, target sights. Grip panels are easily replaceable. You have the frame safety as well as the grip safety.
Yeah, that's what that was on the.
You can get it stainless or blued. They used to be a lot cheaper.
Yeah, the two-tone one was $5.99, but then all the rest are a little bit more.
Once you go to the blued version, the price drops significantly. So I would, as an owner of the stainless, I always looked at the blued ones. Grass is greener type thing, but doesn't look like the prices vary that much these days between the two.
Yeah, I'll get into paralysis by analysis sometimes. Where when I'm researching something, I'll research it so much that you start confusing yourself and you become indecisive.
So are you looking for a Series 80 or a Series 70?
I would probably prefer Series 80, but I'm not dead set on it.
A lot of people get butthurt over that, but it really doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I mean, it's like a drop safety.
Because like this stainless Kimber, that's pretty.
Kimbers are very pretty. But you see that beaver tail? That's not a traditional 1911. Go up a little bit. That one below it has a notch.
Which?
Go right below the Kimber that you were looking at. The one below that has a notch instead of the beaver tail.
I don't know what I was looking at. There, I think. Is there one down here?
Have you looked at the Remington 1911s?
Maybe. These are just the ones that are in stock, and then I just put in Kimber, Ruger, Fusion.
If you're looking for a traditional GI model, Remington makes a good one.
Uncle Jim said he's built 2 Norenkos that will blow the doors off any Colt. Only cheap forged gun Wilson would work on all that forged. G23 said, yeah, everything used to be a lot cheaper than today. Yeah, I guess well, have a good night, Uncle Jim. Like I said, it'll be probably a little while before I actually get anything, but I'm just trying to figure out what direction I want to go. Oh.
What made you want to think about the 1911 again?
Because I've always wanted one. And there's
Oh, so having that issue, what didn't make you not want one? It just didn't. It made you not want to buy one at that point.
yeah, it was just the arbitrary rules that I set upon myself excluded the 1911. But I've got this stuff that I have, the handguns that I have fulfill the roles that I need them to fulfill. And so there's nothing else I was really looking at. I would like a stainless car in 40 also, but the
Oh, I was going to say you can get a DeLorean, but you meant that kind of car.
yeah, K40 is that? But yeah, because I'm not supposed to be collecting, but this is kind of collecting. So
Well,
yeah,
I
there
owned
were,
a 1911 for a long time because I would say, as an instructor, I wanted to be aware of how to work them. I liked them, so I had no. I mean, I wasn't going to carry it. I guess technically, I've carried a 1911 before, but I don't like carrying a 1911. So I never was going to carry it, but I wanted one around to have for students and just I don't know, to have it if I ever decided I needed to. I don't know, go practice with it or something, so I wasn't borrowing somebody else's all the time. So I kept one around for a long time and finally sold it though, because it literally was just there because I felt obligated to have a 1911 in the stable.
yeah, it's not one that I would carry it now and again at least once, because that's one of the rules. So I have to be able to carry it. But especially if I get a color case that because the newer way they do it, the finishes aren't as durable. It would not be an everyday. And X Adam wants the stainless 2 Kimber stainless Ultra Carry 2. That's the gun you're looking for. That's one that I have kind of looked at. I do really like the way it looks. He said, or the Kim 32 double aught 330. And because Gary said cars have almost as long a break-in period as a real car. Pacifist said they're from Massachusetts, so they're pronounced ka.
I have the Cop P380. It's pretty nice.
I had the one of the guys that I did the take a friend to the range. He had a 9mm polymer one. I don't remember what the model is. I was very surprised for how small that gun was in 9mm, that it was not snappy at all.
They make a really good gun, double action trigger, very consistent all the way through, but they're notorious for the brass hitting you in the center of the forehead.
I don't recall that. It might have happened. I don't know. It's been a while. And then at the gun shop, they had the stainless 40. And it's the only gun I've ever picked up that felt perfect in my hand. But I didn't have the money for it. So, and they didn't have layaway. Otherwise, I would have put it on layaway.
It's funny, they're produced in Worcester, Massachusetts, but they are not on the roster to be sold in Massachusetts.
Yeah, hopefully the roster gets addressed. Because it's bullshit.
I had to move to New Hampshire to buy a car.
Oh, I was impressed with the car. But he had owned that for, I can't remember how long he said. It was at least a year and had never shot it. It was, I think, his first gun. So I made sure we went to the range so he could at least shoot it, and then I showed him how to clean it. All right, guys, simmer down out there. Yeah, Gary brought up the 2011s. I kind of want to stick to just a 1911 rather than the 2011. Partly because of the prices, because the 2011s are kind of expensive.
Once again, for the 2011, I would recommend the Rock Island Armory.
They have seemed to really picked up their game in the last few years.
Oh yeah, they used to be, Rattlers, the GI models. That's all they used to produce. But now they produce some really good 1911s, 2011s, and some polymer pistols now. I still don't trust their revolvers, but they've had like some serious timing issues with their revolvers.
I've never shot a Rock Island 1911, but like their tactical one, the whatever tack.
They make some sneaky niche rifles as well, in niche calibers.
Gary says he has a RA 2011, and you are correct. They do make sweet ones. Guns and Waters said, I don't make rules for myself. I play it by ear. The rule was kind of the compromise with my wife.
And going back to the American made thing, Foss, the Philippines is basically a colony of the U.S.
I know, but I still would rather have one.
I used to own a taxi company in the Philippines.
Do they have a lot of 1911s laying around over there?
Oh, yeah. Like when you go into a bar over there, they have signs up. It's pretty hilarious that tell you to check your firearm at the front before you go in. The firearms are everywhere over there. If you go to the malls over there, I witnessed a couple bank drops where they have the armored car, and then they'll have a line of guys with M16s on either side of the pathway for the guys to bring the money out. When you go into the mall, all the security guards have 38s and pistol grip shotguns, and they search your car because the lower three colonies of the Philippines are very tyrannical, and there's a lot of terrorism that goes on over there. And so they check your car, just like, going to the mall to buy a pair of shoes or whatever, and you get searched like you're a terrorist. And you go to the ATMs, and ATMs are weird over there. You have, depending on what logo you have on the back of your card, depends on what ATM you can go to. They're very specific over there. And after dark, they have guys that stand out stand out in front of the ATMs with M16s because so many people get robbed.
So it's like a security thing. Like if you don't have any business pulling up to that ATM, don't pull up to this ATM.
They're just very concerned about people getting robbed because it happens so often over there.
Baron said, my insomnia is advising you to buy a 1911 from the CMP.
So what do you got against getting an authentic old one?
My concern would be wear.
Yeah, if you want to go traditional, get the old Colt, man. The old Colts. You get the Delta. That's a nice one.
Grabby Turtle, I got your email, and I will show those pictures here in just a little bit. X Adam said he is not a poor. That's why he wants a nice new gun. Well, I'm moderately poor.
So where, which way are you leaning as far as what are you going to buy for a 1911? What tickles your fancy?
I don't know. Like I said.
So you're completely open.
I probably will go with 45. I was open to that. That's everybody kind of voted on that. I'm fine with 45. But I love stainless. But I kind of would like to get the case hardened color done.
Once you get a stainless 1911, you're gonna be like, man, those blued ones look really good. With a 1911, the grass is always greener. If you get a blued one, you'll be like, damn, those stainless ones look really good. You can't make a wrong decision as far as 1911s go.
Yeah, I had not even shot one until, was it 2 years ago? Might have been even 2 years ago now. I rented a Ruger, or what did I rent? I think a Springfield, and what was the other one? Might have been a Ruger. I can't remember. But once I shot it, then yeah, I instantly understood the appeal.
The only comparison I can make is with the 686 and the 586. Once you buy the 686, you're going to be like, damn, that 586 looks good. If you buy the 586, you're going to be like, damn, that 686 looks good. So blued, stainless, it doesn't matter. Just get yourself a 1911.
Gary said, you're right. I have a blued one, and my next one will be stainless. And Baron said, CMP 1911s are over 1,000 and only go up in value.
They're timeless.
And
they're the Casio of 1911s.
G23 is wondering if I can buy one after HB 1240 goes into effect. Yes, it will not affect 1911s. That's another reason I was kind of looking at 1911s. Future proofing. X Adam saying get the stainless. But it's kind of the way anything that I buy. It'll be I look at this, look at that. We'll decide on something and then think, oh God, no, that's the wrong choice. And then look more, decide on something else, and think, oh God, no, that's not what I want. And then go through that for a while, finally order something, and then we'll have ordered something that's completely wrong because I had added it to the cart and forgot which one I was looking at. It's kind of what tends to happen. I've done that live on the chat. I ordered a book that I already had because I forgot. Guns and Waters said, do not carry a gun you have value attached to. Police trade Glock 23s fill the bill. Oh, you can't. You're not supposed to do that. People are getting in trouble for showing guns.
I'm sorry, I forgot about that.
I'm small enough that they probably won't notice here, but I have changed a little bit what I do or don't do because they've kind of cracked down on some stuff. X Adam once said, I almost bought a Henry 22 long rifle because I forgot that I already had one. Yeah, don't do that too much. You're gonna get an erection.
With a 1911, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to assist the slide going forward.
It depends on who you listen to.
Oh, I never heard that. You know, you're supposed to push them, let them. You know, you're supposed to let them go.
The Dan,
I mean, if it's unloaded, you're supposed to assist the if it's chambered, then that's fine. But if it's unloaded, you're supposed to assist the slide.
I got you. Yeah, especially on an old one, I suppose. Yeah.
Dan Wilson, they say it doesn't matter. Brownells, they said it didn't matter. And I can't remember the name. I'd have to look at another dude that used to carry one when he was in the Army. He said it doesn't matter. And then in the Army, you had to do that because it was part of the when you're changing guard, it's part of what you do is to drop the slide.
Well, you drop the slide, otherwise the extractor won't go over the rim.
Well,
it forward, it doesn't engage and it doesn't work right.
Well, I don't know. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about?
What about a 22 version of 1911?
No. Not. I won't buy a 22, and I won't buy a 9mm. 1911. I would.
What about the 38 Super?
38 Super would be one that I would. The calibers I find acceptable. 10mm, 45, 38 Super, and then like the 460 Roland. That's kind of a niche thing. That
38 Super has a whole movement, behind it.
They wouldn't put super in the name if it wasn't a super caliber.
Right.
God, now I can't think of his name. What's his face? Down in Oregon.
Oregon.
Yeah.
G23?
No.
Nobody else in Oregon.
God, what? Yeah, he's one of the big YouTubers.
Is that the guy that lives right over the Meacham Pass?
Paul Harrell.
Paul
Harrell. He likes 38 Super.
I've never
watched. Paul Harrell is a traditionalist, so he can definitely appreciate the history of 38 Super.
And X Adam said 38 Super doesn't exist. I've never seen any in real life. I've never seen 38 Super at any gun shop that I've been at.
Go to Mexico.
No, thank you.
They have good tacos.
They probably do, but it's all the other problems that I want to avoid.
Yeah.
The problems with enchiladas.
Could it be the murder rate being higher than in the height of the Iraq War?
Yeah, when they split up the Sinaloa cartel, they were kind of the big influence to keep everything somewhat stable. I mean, it's still a fallen state, but it got even worse because now everybody's fighting for control.
Did you see the thing where I've only seen it on Instagram, so I don't know if it's real, but the CIA was the guy who was the president of Mexico for a long time was the CIA.
I heard
Is
you
that
say
real?
that.
You ever heard that? Is that real, or is that just something?
I've never heard that. I don't know. They probably gave him money.
Yeah, and
Hell,
you think like,
Mexico's
oh,
not
you're the
corrupt at all.
president of our neighbor country. You want to go to the CIA school so that you know a bunch of cool shit. Like, I can understand that. Or like, oh, you want to go to our CIA school? Okay, why not?
In
You're
the
president of our
'60s,
neighbor.
in the '60s, the CIA funded art to prove to the East, the Eastern Bloc countries how great we were. So, CIA has done a lot of stuff.
Fast and
Mhm.
Furious.
You think that's CIA?
They had a hand in it. Nothing happens down there without them.
And here a second. GearWebsites.com for all your 2A related t-shirts, sticker patches, 3D printing, web consulting, small business consulting, car repair, you name it. He can probably help you out with it. GearWebsites.com. Barrett, if you're out there, can you drop a couple links for me? Because I forgot. If you're not out there, then okay, thanks. Pacifist. Is there anything you want to plug? Anything you got coming up?
I just released a new video tonight covering my Mossberg MC2C optics ready direct mount with a micro red dot cut for the Shield RMS footprint. So that's out there now if you're interested. In my opinion, it's the best carry gun I've ever come across in my entire life.
Really? I haven't. I saw you put out the video and I haven't watched it yet.
The only downside to it is you might need to get a stipple jaw because they are very limited with the grip texture on the frame. That's about it. But cycles everything. Great gun.
You just need a soldering iron to have at it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Put some dots in it.
Gun websites.
Thanks for the link.
You got to chat tomorrow.
We'll probably be doing Sunday chats on the regular again at some point, but I'm working on a massive project, so I'm not 100% certain.
Oh, okay.
But we're back on Monday.
Let me turn that off. There we go. Just like to say thank you to everybody that's been out there in the live chat, chatting her up. Appreciate it. And if you were out there watching but didn't say anything, I appreciate you too. If you watch this in replay, leave a comment. Anything we talked about, agree with, disagree with, thought we left out, let me know. I always read the comments and they're always appreciated. And other than that, hope everybody has a good rest of the night.
You still here? It's over. Go home.